I'm the co-founder and CTO of One Concern, and our vision is for planetary scale resilience, where everyone lives in a safer, sustainable, and more equitable future. And our mission is to do this and to drive deep social impact by using what we call a benevolent intelligence, which is AI for good, to eventually or ultimately save lives and livelihoods. The way it even started off, my friend and the CEO, Ahmed Wani, he actually went through a very devastating flood. This is a picture of the Kashmir flood, which led to thousands of people losing their lives and even several hundred thousands losing their livelihoods. During this particular disaster, he was unfortunately on the roof of his house for 7 days in waist-height amount of water. And in all the 7 days, the only question which was in his mind was, am I going to be alive after these 7 days? Why isn't rescue coming to me? Will rescue ever come to me? Unfortunately, on the 7th day, the water receded. No rescue actually came during this effort. But a big part of the rescue was his neighbors. His neighbors actually went forward and gave him food and sustenance for those 7 days. Unfortunately, due to the flood, the home actually collapsed for the neighbors, and their bodies flew away with the flood. But when this actually happened, we thought that maybe this issue is restricted to floods and to developing nations. Maybe this is just a problem which the developing world can solve. But when we went to Stanford, myself, Ahmed, and a third co-founder, Tim, we soon realized that even with the Napa earthquake, the 911 calls weren't enough. They weren't enough to tell you where exactly the impact is. What should I actually be doing in this particular disaster? And then it struck a research project between the three of us to help hopefully solve this question. We started off with a simple question of just solving, during the response phase, where should you be going and what's the impact for this particular building in an earthquake? But fast forward today, we're working on a multi-hazard platform. And so what we do is we bring different stakeholders, the government sector, citizens, private sectors, to understand what you can actually do both during a disaster, after a disaster, and before a disaster. And during a disaster, we start off with the simple question of, situational awareness. Where should I be going in a disaster? What should I be doing? What is the structural integrity of this particular home? How much amount of flooding can I foresee outside this particular building? So we start off with these simple questions. After disaster, it changes into a recovery phase clearly. And the biggest question then turns into which of the vulnerable pockets of communities would be more unequally affected, and how can I bring their livelihoods back to either the previous baseline or even hopefully to a more resilient forward-facing baseline. So that's what we help from the recovery phase. And ultimately, before a disaster, we also, the big part is not just doing reactive resilience, it is proactive resilience. So helping jurisdictions understand, what is my particular risk and what can I do to make my jurisdiction safer? And where should I be putting my effort in? Is it building a better hospital? Is it adding another bridge? Is it, improving my building code? So we help you, solve all these different questions. Ultimately, this is a problem which definitely we alone cannot solve. This is a very, very complex system with multiple different ecosystems. And it is about working together to figure out how we can solve this issue. And it has to start now. I really like, what somebody was talking about. And so we need to create more initiative in the resilience ecosystem. And how do we bring about, that's an important question. So thank you for having me here.